Hello everyone, my name is Juan Valentino from Universitas 17 Agustus 1945 Surabaya, and today I'm gonna tell you about historical event, tradition, and culture, the land of the rising sun. But before that, let me to explain a little bit about this country. First of all, Japan is located right off the east coast of the Asian continent between the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Japan, stretching all the way from the Sea of Okhotsk in the north with the East China Sea to the south. This country is divided into 47 prefectures, and each prefecture have incredibly beautiful minimalistic style flags. The prefectures in Japan are divided into 4 different categories: Ken, To, Fu, and Do. The first one is Ken. This category refers to the 43 plains prefecture in Japan. Then you have To, which means something like metropolis, and this category only applies to Tokyo City. The next one is Fu, refers to the urban prefecture, and this category only applies to the cities of Osaka and Kyoto. And finally, Do, which is a unique category translated to something like circuit and applies to all of Hokkaido in the north of Japan. Speaking of which, Tokyo, Japan's capital, is the largest city in the world, with its greater metropolitan area including Kanto containing about 37 million people. However, Tokyo is kind of like 23 smaller cities all smashed into one, divided into units called wards, and the closest thing to a capital one would probably be Chiyoda, where the emperor, prime minister, and supreme court are located. Japan is made up of about 6,850 islands, but about 97% of the land is made up of 4 main islands: Honshu, Kyushu, Shikoku, and Hokkaido. And that's some a little bit explanation about Japan. And next, we will start discussing about the historical events of Japan. Japan has a rich history marked by significant events that have shaped its culture, society, and global influence, such as Nara period, the establishment of centralized government, the adoption of Buddhism, and the flourishing of arts and literature. Their historical heritage was still exists until now, such as the Great Buddha Hall, Daibutsu-den of the Todai Temple, and Sukomojin statue. Heian period, a period of cultural flowering, aristocratic refinement, and the development of Japanese aesthetics. Their historical heritage was still exists until now, such as illustrated legends of the Kitano Tenjin Shrine or Kitano Tenjin Eni Emaki and Zhao Kongen. Kamakura period, rise of the samurai class, establishment of the Kamakura shogunate, and the spread of Zen Buddhism. Their historical heritage was still exists until now, such as armor yoroi of Ashikaga Takauji and Taima Mandala. Sengoku period, era of civil war among feudal lords daimyo, competing for powers and leading to the unification of Japan under the Tokugawa shogunate. Their historical heritage was still exists until now, such as Matsumoto or Raven Castle and samurai armor. Opening of Japan, Matthew Seabury arrival with his flagships pressured Japan to open its ports to foreign trade, ending centuries of isolationism and triggering modernization efforts. Meiji Restoration, restoration of imperial rules and modernization reforms that transformed Japan into a modern industrialized nation. World War II and post-war reconstruction. Japan's involvement in World War II, including the Pacific War and subsequent reconstruction and economic recovery. Atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. During World War II, The United States dropped atomic bombings on Hiroshima in Aegis 6 and Nagasaki in Aegis 9, leading to Japan's surrender and the end of the war. These events had profound implications for global politics and the nuclear age. Economic miracle, rapid economic growth, and industrialization that propelled Japan into one of the world's major economies. 1995 Kobe earthquake, devastating earthquake that struck Kobe and surrounding areas, leading to significant loss of life and economic impact. These events highlight different facets of Japan's history, from cultural development and political transformation to economic progress and natural disaster. That was an explanation about historical events in Japan, and next we will start discussing about the tradition and culture of Japan. Before we get to know about the tradition and culture of Japan, we have to know the language they use first. First of all, Japanese people using a Japanese as a daily life activity as usual, and using three writing languages such as hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Hiragana and katakana represent spoken syllables and are used to perform grammatical linkage and borrowed foreign words respectively. And that two written languages are syllables made up of 46 corresponding base characters each. That means you have two ways to write each syllable, whereas kanji is derived from Chinese, uses thousands of different pictograms to describe meaning and is used for most content words. That means that Chinese people can kind of get by in Japanese just by reading the signs, as most of the characters have identical meanings, just different pronunciations. It's kind of hard to explain, but the reason why they use three written language is because each one kind of plays a role for certain words and context. They don't use space in writing, so each alphabet kind of acts like word dividers, and katakana is used for technical and foreign words. And now let's talk about Japan tradition. Japanese people appreciate their tradition by organizing important events and festivals in each region. And here are some important festivals or events in Japan. Tokyo Kanda Festival. This festival is one of the biggest festivals in Tokyo. It is held at Tokyo's oldest shrine called the Kanda Myojin Shrine. This festival is to wish for prosperity and well-being to the local Japanese people. The main parade of 300 people will carry 100 little shrines that are known as mikoshi. Join the parade of dancers, musicians, and priests as they march through the Kanda district to Nihonbashi and on to Akihabara before returning to the shrine. This festival usually held in May each year. Tokyo Sanja Festival. Another one of Tokyo's biggest festival, and it is held for 3 days on third weekend of May at the Asakusa Shrine. Over 2 million visitors come for this festival. That's why it's the one biggest and wildest yet. This festival honors the man who founded the temple in 1645. Kyoto Gion Festival. This one-month festival is known to be one of the longest and oldest in the world, and all the way back to 869. That year, Japan suffered from a plague, so the festival was a ritual to get rid of the plague. Since then, the festival has been held annually without fail, with the main attraction being the Grand Float, or known as Yamaboko Junko. This festival is usually held in July. Osaka Tenjin Festival. The Tenjin Festival is usually held for 2 days at the end of July and has been celebrated for over 1,000 years. It is held in Tenman-bu Shrine, which is in the heart of Osaka City. Similar to other festivals, you can expect performance and dance here. But they also include a procession of boats on the Ogawa River. Aomori Nebuta Festival. The wood for giant flutes in Japanese is nebuta, and you will find plenty of them here in the festival. The flutes are accompanied by hundreds of dancers called hanito, as they jump and move to the rhythm of taiko drums and flutes. On the last night, the parades are replaced by a spectacular fireworks show. This festival is usually held in the beginning of Aegis. Tokushima Awa Odori Festival. This is a festival of dance with many of its dancers wearing colorful and vibrant outfits. The festival is celebrated the Obon, which is a time where spirits or family members are believed to temporarily return to the land of the living. The Awa Odori originated in Tokushima and features dance competition between teams, and it has a very lively and energetic atmosphere. It is usually held in the middle of Aegis. Gifu Takayama Festival. It is known by many people to be the most beautiful festival in Japan. This festival surprisingly is actually held twice a year, once in spring and the other in autumn, and it is celebrated at different shrines each time. This festival is known for its traditionally decorated flutes with puppets. The craftsmanship of this flute is absolutely worthless and can be appreciated during the spring harvest, which is in the middle of April or in the middle of October for the autumn festival. In addition, Japan has some traditional clothing too, such as kimono, yukata, and hapi. Kimono is a traditional Japanese garment and the national dress of Japan. Kimono was originally accompanied by a long skirt called a hakama. The kimono is traditional worn for weddings, tea ceremonies, formal traditional events, and funerals. Yukata is a casual version of the kimono. Yukata worn in a casual setting such as summer festival and to nearby pet houses. And last is hapi, is a traditional tube-sleeved Japanese coat usually worn only during festivals. And that's all about tradition of Japan, and next let's talk about their culture. First of all, in Japan there is a very important culture that is always applied by Japanese people, and namely the culture of respect. The culture of respect is one of the most important values in Japanese society. It's reflected in Japanese language, manners, and customs. One way for Japanese people to show respect is to bow. They also bow instead of shaking hands. Japanese people also give meiji. This name cards introduce people to one another. They give meiji when meeting new people, clients, or customers instead of shaking hands. When you offer a meiji in Japan, hold the card in both hands and bow, as usual. Japanese people are very friendly and welcoming to foreigners and local tourists. This custom is called omotenashi. It reflects the Japanese respect for other people and their humility in the way they interact with them. The Japanese language has an extensive grammatical system for expressing politeness, respect, and humility, which is called keigo. There are three types of keigo: sonkeigo, kenjogo, and teinego. Japanese people use sonkeigo for respectful language. Kenjogo is modest or humble language that Japanese people use about herself. And last is teinego. For Japanese people, use this for honorific or polite language, and it doesn't refer to any particular person. One way Japanese people to show respect to another is in the way they address another person, always say and write san after other people's name. There are no Japanese word for Mr., Mrs., or Miss, but using san after people's name has a similar function. Japanese people also have another culture they always use in daily life, and that's about the table manners. Before eat, Japanese people always say itadakimasu with both hands like this. It means as let us eat or let us feast. but it is non-religious prayer and instead about thanking all the life that are receiving in order to survive. And then when Japanese people finish their eat, they always say "Gochiso sama deshita," translated as "Thank you for the food." And that's all about Japan. And